Hello and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that's favorite book is Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. Say, you are awesome, but do you want to know what's awesomer? Awesome Kingdom from IDW Games. Let's take a look. Awesome Kingdom from IDW Games is a light card game for 2 to 4 players. Now, essentially how the game works is every player is going to get a hero. And of course, there's many different heroes, but each of these heroes are going to have kind of special abilities and little tricks that they can do throughout the game. Each player is also going to get 3 action cards that they're going to use during the game, and then you're going to kind of set up the board, for lack of a better term. Now, in the center, you're going to have dungeon cards, you're going to have action cards, you're also going to have kind of a card that you read that kind of sets the mood and says if there's any special rules there, and it looks like there may be some forthcoming, perhaps in expansions. And then you also, of course, have the timer. Now, the game is going to last 3 full rounds, so at the beginning, of course, you just put it on the first third of the round clock. Now, what's going to happen is you place around the center of the board a number of little dungeon tokens. These are little arrows that go around the center where you've got the cards. And you do a number, I think, that's 7 greater than the number of players playing. So if you play with a 4-player game, you're going to put out 11 of these little tokens. Then what you're going to do is each player who has their hero card is going to get a kind of a corresponding hero standee. You're going to put that standee in one of the spots for the dungeons. Now, all the other spots for the dungeons are going to get face-up dungeon cards. Now, these dungeon cards can be different things. They can be monsters, they can be treasure, they can be magic, good things and bad things. And they're all going to be around the periphery here of the center of the play area. Now, on your turn, you're going to have to play one of your 3 action cards. Now, action cards are going to do different things, but the most important thing they're going to do is tell you how far to move and in which direction you can move. Sometimes you have the choice of which direction you want to go. And you count that many dungeon spaces over, but you skip dungeon spaces with other players in them. So you keep going, you don't count that one. Whichever one you land on, you're going to take that card. But there may be some interesting things that happen there. There may also be some things that force you to stop. Some cards will say stop as you're passing through. You just have to stop on them. But when you land on some of these cards, there may be some of the adjacent cards have effects that play havoc with what you're doing, or they may help you out. If you land on that specific card, you may take wounds. Now, you may take wounds, but you may also get some advantages, some fun things you can do later. Now, after you're finished, the person to your left goes, and the person to the left, etc. You go clockwise. Each person is playing these cards. So you play your 3 cards. As soon as everybody's played their 3 cards, you end the round. At the end of the first round, or day, of course, you adjust the clock, you hand out 3 more action cards to everybody, and then you repeat the process. You just keep going around and around until you go through all 3 rounds, or 3 days, as they are called in this game. Now, once you get to the end of the game, you're going to have point tokens that you may have scored. You're also going to have wound tokens, which essentially act like negative tokens. Now, wounds don't kill you, they don't knock you out, nobody is eliminated in this game, but they essentially act like negative victory points. Now, a lot of the cards you have taken, they may have positive victory points, and they may have negative victory points as well. So what you're going to do is, at the end of the game, you add up all your positive victory points, any wounds or negative victory points, and then whoever has the most victory points wins Awesome Kingdom. Now, that is just kind of a basic overview of the game, but there's really not much more to it. It's really a game where you're essentially trying to get the best cards, but you don't always have that choice because sometimes you just kind of have to move where the cards take you, but maybe you have a choice of when you're going to play it. There are moments in this game where you don't have choices, but there are a lot of times where, surprisingly, you do have some choices. When to play cards in this game is critical because the board is kind of always shifting. New cards are coming up constantly in this game. There's a heavy dose of randomness here. Certainly there's randomness depending on the cards that you get in this game, your action cards that you get, and then there's randomness when it comes to which cards are actually going to go out in the dungeon area. So there's a healthy dose of randomness here. But this is not a long game. This game moves pretty quickly. When you know what you're doing, you're boom, 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 boom. and this is a fun game. So I like this game. I think it's a pretty decent game. I think it's a pretty straightforward game. I like it. I like the fact that, sometimes you're trying to collect certain sets of cards, like the treasures or certain pairs of cards, and that gives you kind of some objectives to do during the game. It's fun. It is light. It's super light. I think this is a great game, maybe for younger players. It's a great game for families, and it's, kind of a fun little opener game for game night. So the recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Awesome Kingdom is, buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We are also now up on Twitter, so please, please, please follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and you know what? Come along with us. Come along to Awesome Kingdom. Friendship is a must.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where